Michelle with Pink and Main. Today I'm going to show you a couple of cards that I created using ombre stamping with some pigment inks. And the stamp set we're using today is Inspire by Pink and Main. It's butterflies, and butterflies are one of my favorite things. So let's get started. The first card we're going to make is this card with all these butterflies flying up. It's one stamp. I made this card a vertical A2 size, which means the card itself is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I layer on my card a piece of nice bright pink cardstock, and this piece of paper is 4 by 5 1/4. It's just a 1/4 inch smaller than my card base. I then took this really fun plaid and made it a 1/4 inch smaller than the pink. So it's going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And then I cut nice teal piece of cardstock, and I've already put some foam tape adhesive on the back to pop that up. And I cut this an inch or 1/2 inch smaller. And that's an inch. So I cut it an inch smaller than my plaid, so more of my plaid will show. And that's our card base. Now, ombre stamping is really popular, and you'll see it in a lot of things other than stamping. They even have ombre hair now that's real popular. You go from different tints and shades of hair colors. So what it means basically is we're just going from one color to another with a nice gradient shading in between kind of thing. So this we get like a gradient of different colors. Now I use Pigment Ink, and the ones I use for this project are the Petal Point Pigment Inks by Colorbox. And I like these inks because they pop out of the base here, and I'll show you in just a second why that's really handy. I started at the bottom of the stamp with this nice bright yellow, and I'm just dabbing it on the stamp. I get my block messy too, but that's okay. We'll just clean it up when we're done, and I just go across and get that nice and inked up. Next, I'm going to take my nice bright orange and I'm going to dab that just kind of slightly going into that yellow to blend it a little bit. Just going into the yellow and ink some of these butterflies orange. The next color I'm going to use is a nice pink, and this is why I said earlier that it's nice that you can pull these little petal points out of the holder, because you can get in nice tight little areas with the ink. So I'm just going to go over that orange just a tad. I'm next going to get a little darker purple color. And add a little of that into that pink. And I'll finish it off with a nice blue. I'm just going to bring that down into the purple. And this is what it looks like on our block, all inked up, ready to stamp onto our paper. And just place it where you want it and firmly press down. And there we have our ombre stamped butterflies. And we're ready to put them on the card. So now I have the base of my card layered, and I have my piece to go here that has the foam tape on the back and our stamped butterflies. But I want to add a little ribbon to the bottom, and I want to show you how to do that. I like to save my ribbon. If you were to wrap ribbon around the whole piece and tie a knot, you would really waste a lot of the ribbon that's around the back. You're not going to see it, you don't need it, it's not useful. So I cut my ribbon, the little bit hanging off each side. And what I'm going to do is you can either apply some adhesive to the side of the ribbon that's going to stick to the back, or apply some adhesive to the paper. And since I've already put my foam tape down, I'm going to peel the paper off, the backing off my foam tape, so that I'm ready to stick this down. And I'm just going to put some adhesive just at the end of the ribbon. So I place it where I want it, and then I just wrap it around the back and secure it. Now this piece is ready to go on our card. Center that there. Press it down. I will note that pigment ink dries a lot slower than your dye inks, so you'll want to let your image dry, or you can speed up the drying process with a heat tool or hair dryer or something like that. Now on our card sample here, I tied a knot in the ribbon, so I'll show you just real quickly how I tie my knot. You can use liquid adhesive, or I just put a little bit of this Tombow adhesive on my ribbon where I'm going to tie that knot, and it's just to help keep it in place because I'm only tying a single knot. So I'm going to slide the ribbon under. I try to use as little as possible. And I just tie a little knot there. It's just to add some interest. You could put a bow if you prefer a bow. And then I just take my scissors and I'm gonna snip off the excess. It's time for my favorite scissors to be sharpened. They don't cut ribbon as nicely as they used to. There. Now we have our bow, or our knot, and it's time to do our saying. On the card sample, I stamped create, and on this one I decided to stamp inspire. And I just stamped it in a coordinating orange pigment ink. And I made a little alligator or flag, pennant flag end at the end of my saying. And I want to show you how I do that. Real simple. First I'm going to snip off just a little of the extra paper. You take and you can put a snip right in the center, just however far into the paper you want to go, just in the middle of your paper. If you have a hard time finding the middle, you can always bend it a little bit and find the middle and then make the snip, or just bend it, and then all I have to do is cut from corner to my little thing there, my little cut line, and from corner to cut line. And that makes your little flag shape at the end. And I layered that on a strip of green, so I'll adhere that down. And I'm just going to follow that same flag end here. So I have a border of green around my saying. That we're going to stick here at the side of the card. Now I can adhere it down like this, but this part sticks up over here where I have my foam tape under this piece. So I'm going to put a little foam square under there, and I'm just going to put regular adhesive on the rest of it. So just a little regular adhesive there. And I use foam tape, and I buy different brands, whatever I can find on sale or a good deal. But I like it because I can cut it just the amount I need, and there's no waste. So again, I have my foam square there, and I'm going to just turn it so I can see to line this up at the edge of my card. And adhere it down. And there we have our first Pigment Ink Ombre Stamped Butterfly card. For our second card today, I decided to make a square card. So this one is 5 by 5. I have all our pieces pre-cut again. I did this one again with a vertical fold. I have 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 yellow piece of cardstock. And then I took some pattern paper. We'll stick this down in a second. That's 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I rounded the bottom corners, just the two at the bottom. I rounded. Then I have a green square that picks up the green in the pattern paper. That's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then we have our white piece that we're going to stamp on, and that'll be 2.5 by 2.5. It's a 1/4 inch smaller than our green piece. And then I have a little striped piece that I put up at the top. But let's get to our ombre stamping. If you hear the pitter-patter of little feet, that's our office manager, Echo. He's a Jack Russell, and he keeps all of us on our toes around here. So I've already mounted our butterfly. We're using the large butterfly. It says spread your wings in it. We're using the same pigment inks, the petal points. I just picked out two. I have a light blue and a dark blue. And I'm just going to start again by putting down some ink on a butterfly. And you can try different color combinations. The sky's the limit when it comes to creating something like this. I put my light blue towards the edge. I'm just going to kind of bring it into that dark blue a little bit. And don't worry too much about the ink that transfers we can stamp that off and fix that. Okay, now we're ready to stamp our image. I'm going to put it a little closer down to the bottom there than at the top, and press it down. And there we have our beautiful butterfly with the ombre stamping. See how it just goes from light to dark with that nice tonal shading there. So now we're ready to start assembling our card. Okay, so I've laid down our first 2 layers. And I accidentally got a smudge of ink on there. Oops. Gotta watch when I'm stamping, get inky fingers. I'm gonna lay this down here. Let me put a little adhesive there. Center that. There we go. And then the stripe that goes across the top that I was telling you about, these are the old scallop scissors. I've had them forever. Maybe you have some laying around. If not, maybe you have a die that you could use to get the scallop border. And I just cut across. And we have a little scalloped edge. It's just kind of like an awning type thing for the card, just add some interest. But I want to put a ribbon across that. So once again, I've cut my ribbon just a little bit longer than my piece of paper. And I'm just going to put some adhesive and wrap it around the back. So there we have our ribbon on the piece. And I'm going to pop this piece up with some foam tape, just to give it a little more dimension. And then we'll add this to our card. Just going to turn it a second so I can line up the corners. There we go. And we're going to tie another knot. Someone's barking orders. So I'm just going to add a little adhesive here. You don't have to add the adhesive when you tie the knot with the ribbon. I just think it helps add some stability. Now this is how, if you watch carefully, this is how I tie a knot and get my polka dots to stay. I cross it over. I'm going to flip one end down underneath, but I'm going to twist it so I still see the polka dots. And with both the polka dots facing up, I'm just going to pull. And that way you get polka dots facing up on all sides. So I'm just going to trim the ends a little bit. And here we have our second card. And the last thing I did to this card is I added some enamel dots. I don't know if you can see the glitter in these on the camera, but they're just white enamel dots with tiny micro glitter in them, real sparkly. I love them. Not necessary to add this, I love to add them to my cards and other projects for just a little added dimension and shine. So I added 3 of them just kind of going around the corner. On one side, and it kind of balances my knot here and put them on this side. If I were to put them over here, this side of the card would be a little heavy, if that makes sense. You always want to think about balance when you're creating cards. So this is our second card with the ombre stamping and with the pigment ink. I hope you've enjoyed these and that you'll try the ombre stamping at home. Give it a try with some different color combinations, and I'm sure you'll have lots of fun. Please click like and subscribe, and until we see you next time, keep living the creative life.